seemed to me, just from my cursory reading in preparation, that Whitman was very influential among Jewish poets that came after him. What was that all about? What have you seen from your research regarding that?
It's a tough question. I'm not Jewish, and I don't claim to be able to understand what it means to have Jewish identity, and that's what people talk about when they talk about, for example, Ginsburg and Shapiro, and how their poetry is shaped by that. Whitman, I will say, identified with the ancient Jews, and he said to his friend Horace Traubel, who introduced his work to the Jewish community, the New England secular Jewish community, if I keep on in this way, I shall by and by have a Hebrew clientage, and I do not see why I should not. I see every reason I should, for am I not a biblical fellow myself? Born and bred in Hebrewism, the old forerunners, teachers, prophets, and all my Hebrew friends are turning out to be among the young. You would call that an omen, would you not? Wouldn't you? So people have compared his cadences and the long lines to the Hebrew verse of the Bible. Dr. Dara Barnett, who's a scholar on Whitman at Tel Aviv University, and I'm going to paraphrase her, and if she's watching this, please forgive me if I bosh it up, but she said, basically American Jewish poets found in Whitman's poetry a kind of spirituality that was not religious. They sought to create a sense of Jewish identity that was humanistic, a way to position Jewish identity as fully American. So, let's see. Ginsburg and Shapiro are the most prominent, I think. I'm sorry. Ginsburg and Shapiro are the most prominent American Jewish poets that are very closely identified with Whitman. For me, Ginsburg, his main connection to Whitman was through his verse, his actual poetry, the long flowing lines and the catalogs of things and people. And Ginsburg also connected with the homoerotic, what he perceived as the homoerotic side of Whitman's verse, and he found that very freeing for his own self-expression. Shapiro, this is just, again, my opinion, seemed to have identified more with Whitman, I would say, as a Jew versus being a poet and a gay man. Shapiro despised the more arcane poets, intellectually arcane or modernists like T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound, who was also known to be anti-Semitic. And Whitman also ranted against the well-known poets of his time for using language as an end in itself versus the content. And Shapiro also found that the modernists got too carried away with language. Shapiro used the term beyond to describe Whitman in, I found, quite a haunting way, if you consider it in context of Jewish identity. He said, because Whitman is beyond the law of literature, he is condemned to extinction from generation to generation. And it's certainly true that Whitman has had its ups and downs in academia and popularity over the centuries since he's died.